In 1999, a homeless girl in the United States, Nirvana, succeeded in being accepted into Harvard, a story that touched 5 billion people and was hailed as the miraculous girl who moved the entire United States. She was even received by President Clinton. Her name was Liz Morrie. She was called the Miracle Girl because she had experienced hardships but never gave up on her dreams. She never complained about her fate. Instead, she sought hope and despair. In 2003, her story was made into a movie called The Wind and Rain on the Road to Harvard. If you're feeling lost at the moment, you must patiently watch this movie. It can give you the strength to start over. During elementary school, Liz was often ridiculed and bullied by her classmates because she hadn't bathed or changed clothes for a long time, and the odor emanating from her was unbearable. Her hair was infested with lice. It wasn't that she didn't want to be clean, but her family's bathtub was like a sewer, and she didn't have the conditions to bathe. During exams, the head teacher would collect Liz's test paper in advance because she hardly came to school, thinking it would be a waste of time for her to take the test. But Liz argued back. Not only did she excel in the exams, but she also scored 100 points. The head teacher was surprised by Liz's performance. It turned out that a kind neighbor had given her a discarded encyclopedia, and Liz had already learned its contents. The teacher went from suspicion to delight and hoped Liz could come to school every day. Otherwise, her exceptional talent would be wasted. But little did the teacher know, the girl in front of her came from a terrible family and had no conditions to attend school. Her parents were drug addicts. Her father was irresponsible, and her mother often had psychotic episodes due to drug addiction, leading to starvation for Liz and her sister. One day, Liz's mother, in the throes of withdrawal, fought with her sister for money to buy drugs. Seeing her beloved mother in such pain, Liz softened and handed over all the money they had at home to her mother. In that moment, Liz saw her mother smile warmly, a smile she had missed for so long. However, her mother took the money and left without looking back. With no money for food, Liz could only scavenge for scraps in the garbage on the streets. Survival became a problem, let alone going to school. But she never complained. Despite her broken family and unreliable parents, at least she still had a home, a place to shelter. However, the situation continued to deteriorate. Liz's mother, suffering from AIDS, couldn't stand being with her father anymore. She wanted to take Liz back to her grandfather's house. But if they both left, their broken family would completely fall apart. Liz decided to stay. She could only watch tearfully as her mother left. Sometime later, community workers came to their house because Liz hadn't attended school for a long time, and her father was unable to take care of her. They wanted to take Liz to a shelter. Tearfully, Liz looked to her father, hoping he would do something to keep her there, but her father did nothing. The social worker said as long as her grandfather came to pick her up, she could leave the shelter. Liz pinned her hopes on her grandfather, but a month passed, and no one came to pick her up. Thus, Liz, despite having family, became an orphan. Days went by, and Liz could only accept the harsh reality. Life in the shelter was not easy. She did dirty and tiring work every day. The only benefit of working was that it distracted her from missing her mother. Worse, bullying incidents happened there every day. Liz was always careful not to provoke anyone, but she was still bullied. Helpless, Liz silently endured everything. She had to endure to protect herself. One time, she witnessed a girl pouring acid into another girl's bath liquid, and the horrific screams echoed in the bathroom. Liz's young heart was greatly traumatized by the scene. Thankfully, a year later, she finally left that dangerous place. Now the only place she could go was her grandfather's house because her mother, whom she longed for, was there. Her mother, who had quit drugs, looked much better now and even took her out shopping. Liz nestled in her mother's arms, feeling loved for the first time in a long time. Her mother even took her to restaurants and talked about the good old days. Liz felt incredibly happy at that moment. She thought they could return to their old home and hoped the family could be happy together. But her mother said her father had become a homeless man because he couldn't afford to pay rent. In fact, her mother wasn't as normal as she appeared. She was dying of AIDS, and, coupled with her alcoholism and drug addiction, her health was deteriorating day by day. Her grandfather had already taken in her mother and sister, so he wasn't welcoming to Liz's arrival. Finally, one day, he exploded, saying, "Just like your parents." Liz became an orphan once again and began another life of wandering. When tired, she could only sleep in the subway. When hungry, she begged on the roadside. Seeing others eating in restaurants, she could only swallow her saliva through the glass. Sometimes, when she was really hungry, she had to steal bread from the nearby supermarket. Despite her miserable fate and difficult life, Liz never cried because as long as her mother was there, she had a home. She often visited her mother when her grandfather wasn't around. Seeing her mother in pain, she felt heartbroken. Fate kept striking her, and it seemed like everything was futile. Even her mother didn't have a tombstone. She was buried in a coffin with someone else's name on it. Her grandfather hurriedly left like he was getting rid of a burden, and her friends gradually drifted away. But Liz didn't want to leave. She wanted to spend more time with her mother. However, the workers urged them to bury her quickly, and Liz couldn't bear it anymore. Jumping into the grave and pressing her face against her mother's coffin, wanting to feel her mother's breath for the last time. With her mother gone, Liz lost her last bit of support. Now, she had to face this cold world alone. She had to live for herself and create her own sky. The only way was to go to school. She found a school, but she missed the registration deadline due to being late. Refusing to give up, she wrote an application. I really want this. My mother died of AIDS a couple of months ago, and it was a real slap in the face. I guess I always thought she was going to get better and take care of me. It's pretty stupid, huh? She'd never taken care of me. I took care of her. She was my baby. Her experience moved the principal, and she was admitted. However, she needed to provide guardian information for enrollment. To avoid letting the teachers know that she was homeless, she had to seek help from her homeless father. Her father was still as dispirited as before, but when he helped her sign the papers and walked out of the school, he realized how much he owed his daughter. Seeing his confident and independent daughter, he felt lost and regretful, realizing he hadn't fulfilled his responsibilities as a father. Moreover, he was now terminally ill, but he didn't know that his daughter still loved him. He had opened the window of knowledge for her, showing her that there was a solution to every problem. Finally, all he could say to his daughter was, "Stay in school. I blew this, but you can do this." Returning to school to study again wasn't easy. To make up for the missed lessons, Liz had to spend several times longer studying than others. With no place to live, she could only sleep in the subway to survive. She had to work and study at the same time. During weekdays, she worked at a restaurant in the afternoons, washing dishes while reviewing study materials on the walls. Although it was hard work, she finally found a rhythm in her life. She was determined to complete the high school curriculum in 2 years, which sounded inspiring, but the hardship behind it was unimaginable. Finally, every effort she put in paid off. She ranked first in every exam, but she was still ridiculed by her former friends who thought she was dreaming of going to college. Liz believed that neither she nor her friends belonged in school. However, she remained steadfast in her choice. I want to go to school. I don't belong there. Neither of you. Yes, I do. You think they let people like us into Harvard? Her efforts finally paid off. She received a notice that the top 10 students in the school could visit Harvard University for free. Harvard, as the highest institution in the world, was the ivory tower that every student dreamed of attending. However, when the dream came true, it seemed unreachable to Liz. At this moment, the principal's words encouraged her, and she had a firm goal from then on. She wanted to get into Harvard University, read all the best books, and receive the highest education. Upon returning to school, Liz began preparing in advance for college tuition. She searched for every scholarship available. Another opportunity came when the New York Times announced scholarships for the year. The winners would receive $12,000 annually by writing an essay on how to face challenges and overcome difficulties. Liz couldn't miss this opportunity. To win the scholarship, she had to put in her best effort. She spent over 3 months writing the essay until the day before the deadline. I gave you that 4 months ago, Liz. What were you waiting for today? Me too. Turn 18. It's your birthday. Because the prerequisite for applying for the scholarship was that she had to be an adult, and on that day, she turned 18. If she won first place, it would be the best gift for her adulthood. From that day on, she would no longer be homeless because she would be her own guardian. Her essay passed, and she successfully entered the interview stage. To have a proper outfit for the interview, she had to borrow from her sister at her grandfather's house. Her sister took off her coat and gave it to her, telling her that she was about to go blind and was scared. I'm going blind. I'm scared. So much. She was a drug addict. She was an alcoholic. She was legally blind. She was schizophrenic. But I never forgot that she did love me. Their eyes welled up with tears for the girl in front of them who had worked so hard. She deserved everyone's praise. When she left, the social worker personally saw her off and gave her an affirmative hug. Thus, the gears of fate began to turn. On the day of the award ceremony, an audience member asked her how she did it. How'd you do this? Confidently, she replied. How could I not do it? My parents showed me what the alternative was. Didn't you ever feel sorry for yourself? Sleeping in subways, eating out of dumpsters. That had always been my life. In the face of hardship, she had to move forward desperately. She had no other choice. She had to try her best to see what possibilities lay ahead. And now she had been accepted into Harvard. Everyone was moved, and applause filled the venue. The audience asked again, if she could, would she change anything? Liz replied without hesitation, I'd give it back. All of it. If I could have my family back. It was a powerful statement that shook everyone present. We've never been as cornered as Liz. What we lack is only the determination and courage to start over. But please remember, after enduring the hardships, everything tastes sweet. As Chris said in The Pursuit of Happiness, when happiness comes, you'll find that all the effort and waiting were worth it. Come on, brothers. 2023 is about to pass, and the new year is coming soon. I wish you a happy new year in advance. Hello, hello. In the endless darkness, everything is about to be destroyed. At least I still have dreams, and I am moved for you. The starting point of dawn is in my heart. As long as I still have dreams, I will see the rainbow.